Once upon a time, in a cozy little house deep in the woods, lived a mother pig and her 3 little sons. As the piglets grew bigger and stronger, their small home started to feel a bit cramped. One sunny morning, Mother Pig gathered her sons and said, "My dear little pigs, you are all grown up now. It's time for you to go out into the world and build your own homes. But remember, whatever you do, do it the very best you can. That's the way to get along in the world." With a tear in her eye and a loving hug for each, she sent them on their way. The 3 little pigs trotted down the road, excited for their new adventure. The first little pig was a bit lazy and wanted to finish his work quickly so he could play soon. He met a man carrying a bundle of straw. "Please, sir," he said, "may I have some of that straw to build my house?" The man agreed, and the first little pig quickly built a simple house of straw. He was very pleased with himself. "Ha! That didn't take long at all," he thought. "Now I can relax and play for the rest of the day." He danced and sang, feeling very clever indeed. The second little pig was a little less lazy than his brother, but he still wanted to get his house built as fast as possible. A short while later, he came across a man with a cart full of sticks. "Excuse me," he politely asked, "could you spare some of those sticks to build my house?" The man was happy to help, and the second little pig set to work. He hammered and tied the sticks together, and in just a few hours he had a house of sticks. It was a bit stronger than the straw house, but it still wasn't very sturdy. "There," he said proudly, "my house is done. Now it's time for fun." And off he went to find his brother. Now, the third little pig was different. He remembered his mother's words, "Whatever you do, do it the very best you can." He knew that building a strong, safe house was the most important thing. He walked further down the road until he saw a man with a wagon loaded with heavy, red bricks. "Good sir," he said, "would you be willing to sell me some of those bricks? I want to build a very strong house." The man smiled, seeing how serious the little pig was, and gave him a good price. Building with bricks was hard work. The third little pig had to mix mortar, lay each brick carefully, and make sure the walls were straight and strong. The very next day, a big bad wolf came prowling through the woods. He was hungry and looking for a tasty meal. Soon he caught the scent of the first little pig. He crept up to the straw house and saw the little pig inside. The wolf licked his lips and knocked on the door. Little pig, let me come in." He growled in a deep voice. The little pig's heart pounded in his chest. "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," he squealed. "Then I'll huff and I'll blow your house in," roared the wolf. And he huffed and he puffed, and with one mighty breath he blew the straw house all to pieces. The first little pig ran as fast as his little legs could carry him, squealing all the way to his brother's house of sticks. The first little pig burst through the door of the stick house, gasping for breath. "The wolf! The wolf is coming!" he cried. All three pigs, now feeling much braver together in the strong house, shouted back, "Not by the hair of our chinny chins." The wolf laughed a wicked laugh. "Then I'll huff and I'll blow your house in," he roared, taking the biggest breath he possibly could. He huffed and he puffed, but nothing happened. The brick house stood firm. He tried again. He huffed and he puffed and he huffed until he was red in the face and completely out of breath. The little house didn't even tremble. The bricks didn't budge an inch. The wolf was tired and angry, but he was also clever. He stopped huffing and puffing and put on a friendly voice. "Little pig," he called to the third pig, "I know where there's a nice field of turnips." The third little pig, being just as clever, replied, "Where?" "In Mr. Smith's field," said the wolf. "I'll come for you tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, and we can go together." But the little pig woke up at 5, went to the field, gathered a big basket of turnips, and was back home safely cooking them for breakfast, long before the wolf arrived at 6. The wolf was very annoyed, but tried again. "Little pig," he said, "I know where there's a lovely apple tree." "Where?" asked the pig. "Down at Merry Garden," answered the wolf. "I'll meet you there at 5 o'clock tomorrow." The next morning, the pig got up at 4 and hurried to the apple tree, hoping to be back before the wolf came. But this time he took too long, and just as he was climbing down the tree with his apples, he saw the wolf coming. He was very frightened. The wolf came up and said, "Little pig, you're here before me. Are the apples nice?" "Yes, very," said the little pig. "I'll throw one down for you." He threw an apple as far as he could, and while the wolf ran to get it, the little pig jumped down and ran home. The wolf was absolutely furious now. He had been tricked twice. He stormed back to the brick house and shouted, "I'm coming to get you." He climbed up onto the roof and looked for a way in. He saw the chimney. Aha, he thought. I will slide down the chimney and eat all three of them for my dinner. The third little pig heard the scuttling on the roof and saw the wolf's plan. Quick as a flash, he put a huge pot of water on the fire to boil. Just as the wolf started to slide down the chimney, the little pig took the lid off the pot. With a huge splash, the wolf fell right into the boiling water. He yelped and shot back up the chimney, never to be seen in that part of the woods again. From that day on, the first and second little pigs learned their lesson. They built their own strong houses out of bricks, right next to their brothers. They lived safely and happily ever after, always remembering their mother's wise advice. Whatever you do, do it the very best you can. And that's the story of the three little pigs. It teaches us that hard work and planning always pay off in the end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more classic tales. See you next time.